All right, guys, we're going to try this again. If you guys can, hold on one second. If you guys can hear me, I'm going straight through my laptop now. The phone had kept dying, or not dying, but just shutting off. If you guys can hear, chime on and let me see if you guys can hear me. Okay. Robert Maynard, can you hear me? If you can hear me, then I'm going to go ahead and have him come on, and now we won't have to worry about it going out. Let me know. Say something that you can hear me before I have Art continue. If not, we'll just shut it down. But if you can hear me, give me some thumbs up or something. Can you hear me say anything?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Are you talking to me now or somebody else?
Well, waiting to see if they can hear. Let me see. Yeah, I'm asking them, can they hear me? They're saying they can hear. Okay, they said they can hear you good. Okay, go ahead, Art. We don't have to worry about it now. I'm going straight through the computer. Go ahead. Okay, Art. Man, what in the world? 1 second, guys. I tell you, it's always something. Hold on 1 second, guys. He's probably trying to call me right back. Hold on 1 second. This is so just 1 second, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Art. Yeah, I got it. I'm going directly through the computer now, so they can hear you without a problem.
So I should be able to go ahead?
You can go ahead freely as you want. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead.
Okay.
All right. I wanted to breed. I was very impressed with Mount Zion Peak. All right. And I read about them. I talked to people that knew whatever and tried to get any information and all the information I could. So at that point, I wanted to breed to Pete. I thought that would be a perfect matchup in the breeding because Ginger's mother was half-brother to Mount Zion Peak. And that would be line breeding is probably a very good way to go. So I got a hold of RMA, and I don't know, I've got a letter here, and I'll read you this letter, and it'll tell you why I was impressed with that dog. This is a very good example of why. I don't recall, this is from Homer, it says, Dear Arthur, I don't recall if I ever met you in person, but glad to hear from you to know you might be interested in mating a bitch with my Mount Zion Pete. You can ship a bitch for mating anytime. We have an airport here, and the service is good. The stud fee for mating to Pete is $20 at time of service, and no return without any strings attached. $20 is dirt cheap for using this good producing hound, but I'd rather keep the fee low and not fool around with return services. Besides, the low fee helps hold down the cost of the breeder on bitches shipped in. P has been producing as well, if not even better than his very good producing sire, field champion Dagwood LeBan. In the spring and early fall trials this year, in this area, Pete's offspring has been accounting for 6th and 7th places at each licensed trial, and the entries have been large with a lot of good competition to beat. So if you have a good bitch and you'd like to try with Pete, ship her along when ready. As soon as she starts in heat. You all right?
Oh, yeah.
I will hold her until she is fully ready to stand for the stud. Give her 2 or more services and look after her well while she is here. Pete is a potent stud, never had a miss, and been with any bitch that is ready and fertile. And you can be sure he will start her some good pups with any good bitch. Now, regarding Pete's field trial record, it is one of very hard to equal, as he has entered in a lifetime total of 22 trials and placed 21 times. He won 4 licensed first place here, all in large back trials. He was also the Northern Michigan Hair Association Derby champion in the 15-inch class in 1956. And he won a licensed first and a third and a 4th place in 3 licensed trials and a Derby first, and Associated Winter Stake in his Derby year. Pete was very hot as a Derby. He started early and kept right on winning his first all-age year, and then finished here while he was only 3 years old. The youngest 15-inch male to ever make it all the way in large pack trials in this area, in the least amount of trials entered. His early winning ability was no accident, and his sire and grandsire also were early winners as Derbies. Then after a year layoff and being used as stud, I shipped him to Canada. He compiled the best record in his class in 1960 in Canada by finishing in only a total of 4 trials in large classes, and also won the Canadian Hound of the Year award, and he is being used as stud in Canada between trials. I mention this only because, as you know, not many hounds will run well enough to win trials while being used as stud, especially large pack trials. Pete is a very rugged, durable hound with great desire to hunt and stamina to stick all day, any day. And he has a nose, brains, and proper use of mouth it takes to win. He is also the best hound in snow I ever owned or saw. And I used him a lot for my own gun dog. At 8 years, he still has not lost any of his fire, guts, and desire. And I still have the first time to ever see that hound quit under any conditions. Not many can say that, never seen their hound quit, even once in 8 years of pack running. Now, quitting in pack running is much different because it really puts the stamina in, and they have to have the stamina and the muscle to keep going and the desire to keep going. And it's much different than certainly cut run a cocktail. I hope I can own another one someday. I know I'll never own a better one. So that was that letter with Pete, was why I wanted to go with Pete. Well, before I got to it, Pete got a little bit older, and I didn't breed this bitch until 1966. Okay, and this was I bred Ginger to Toastmaster. Now, here's what they had to say about Toastmaster and his record. And Larmé suggested when I wrote back to him and talked to him, because I coordinated with him for quite a while, and that I breed to Toastmaster because now I've gotten older. And he says, in becoming a field champion, Toastmaster established a new record of the New England field trial circuit by winning 4 straight first in 4 consecutive weekends prior to being shipped out east. That's in large pack. Toastmaster has taken a place at Traverse City, giving him 5 straight first places in 6 weeks' time in an unprecedented showing. Okay, so now I bred Ginger to Toastmaster. Now out of that, there was 2 field champions that finished with 2 bitches. The 3 hounds went to field trials a little bit. I took the male and I run in a couple trials, but I wouldn't say it was field trials. But 2 bitches went to the trials. Dick Doyle got 2 bitches out of from me. He got Adirondack Toasty May, and she finished, I think she was just about 3 years old when she finished. I think she was maybe a little bit younger. But she had a record, according to the write-up in the paper on her, she had a record of 17, placed 17 out of 20 trials. And then another bitch I sold, and I raised her up. And back then, when you raised a dog up, all right, or you registered a dog, you got your blue slip. You didn't have to go and register them right away or put them in your name or anything because it was going to cost you money. You could have that blue slip for your dog to be 5 years old before you registered. It didn't matter. And so I raised this bitch up, Maggie, and Doug Coons wanted her. And he kept coming over, wanting her and whatever. And I ended up selling her to Doug Coons. Now, Doug Coons, judge trials, he was a good hound person. Doug Coons liked a fast running hound. Well, he got a fast, tough running hound. When he got Maggie Corbett, she was a tough dog. And I'll tell you what, if you saw those 2 dogs, or it's more than 2, but those 2 bitches, because I saw them run in the trials, why I say that. And you saw their mother, and you saw the style the mother had. versus the style those two bitches had. You wouldn't believe they were even the same bloodline. Because those two Toastmaster bitches was fire. It was nothing but gold. They didn't know any neutral. Now, Ginger was very methodical or stuff. If she hit a tough spot, she slowed down. I don't think they ever slowed down. They'd hit it. They might not hit it, but they wouldn't go too far, and they'd check here, check there, and then first thing they got it. And I can remember Doug Coons talking about Maggie. He said, boy, I thought I had a hell of a pitch when I had that cricket pitch. But what a nose she had. Now, she was out of a hound called Woodland Adventure that Ray Miller had from New Jersey. And they talked about what a great dog he was, and I don't know about him, but that cricket was a very smooth run dog. He says, this Maggie bitch hits it, and she don't have a check because she just runs up her head, and she's gone, and she's got the rabbit. Well, anyhow, that's what the style they had. Now, they ran in a trial in Adirondack in a class of 31 ounce. Okay? And Jimmy Stone was a judge, and I was judge's marshal. And I really enjoyed that trial. Now, Jimmy came to me after the trial. They'd been running quite a while. And he says, Art, he says, I don't know how the hell I can separate them two dogs. I says, what are you talking about, Jimmy? He says, every time one's got it, then the next got it. Well, the two dogs were running ahead of the pack. The pack couldn't stay with them. The pack wasn't far behind them, but the pack never get up with them. And so I said to Jimmy, I said, you haven't got it. You ain't got to worry about that. He said, what do you mean? Because you haven't got to separate. What do you mean? They'll separate themselves. If you run them long enough, you're going to find out one stronger than the other. And that'll tell you who the boss is. And Maggie won it, and Doyle's Toasty May got a second. Okay. Now, out of that litter, there was 5 bitches and 2 males. Now, I sold a bitch to Richie Smullins, and we called her Dusty. She was a big 50-inch bitch, and he loved her to death, and he bred her to his male, and I had that male for a while. Adirondack Banjo Boy that was out of Wadodic Mark, and he had 2 males out of that, and they called Ace and Deuce. And you can see their pedigrees if you go back in some pedigrees, because Rich, especially I think Ace, more than others. But Rich says, talk about a pair of snow dogs. He said, and they were big hounds. They were nice hounds. But then, okay, that's 3 bitches. Doyle got Adirondack Dolly for me. Now, the story on Adirondack Dolly is why Doyle didn't run her in the trials is he was hunting with her somewhere or something, and she got into a trap. And she lost her hind leg in the trap. So she was a 3-legged dog. And I seen her run on snow with 3 legs. She adjusted, and she could run right along on 3 legs. And then there was a small bitch, and I sold that to Joe Guardiola from Hudson Falls. And so that male, I bred to that Kentucky Colonel bitch that I told you about, that Paul Clifford had the father to. And that was Weasel. And I had a nice litter of pups. And I named a bitch out of that Scooby-Doo Corbett. Now I bred Scooby-Doo Corbett to Cash Cannon. Okay. Now, out of that, there was Spot Cash, Cold Cash, Blizzard Roll, Buster, Skater Roll, Corbett, Corby Corbett. There was another hound from Ontario that Jim Carruthers had that he got run over a snow machine, and it plays a whole bunch of time. And I want to break the breeding down on that so everybody can understand what I did. Now, my interpretation of inbreeding is you breed a mother to a son, a father to a daughter, a brother to a sister. So it's 100% on all the way around. Now, line breeding is, in most cases, not over 50%, maybe, or whatever. But this is kind of more than that. All right? Now, Scooby-Doo Corbett's father was out of Ginger and Toastmaster. All right? So half of that pedigree was Ginger and Toastmaster. Now, when I bred the Cash Cannon, his mother was Dolly. That was Ginger and Toastmaster. And he bred Dolly to Toastmaster. So that was Toastmaster. Okay? So now, Cash Cannon's pedigree is all of the same cross as Ginger and Toastmaster. Now, there's 3 crosses of Toastmaster in that, and 2 crosses of Ginger in that, up tight. So you got 75% of that pedigree that those dogs come out of, all right, were Ginger and Toastmaster originally. Okay? Now, let me go on about Spot Cash. Spot Cash, I sold to Walt Butler. And Walt Butler, you'll hear his name again. He also owned a hound called Panzer Pete. He owned quite a few different dogs. But now Spot Cash, the name Cash came because he got the blue slip. And he named it Spot Cash. I didn't name it Spot Cash. All right? And so Spot Cash, Walt had her, and she won back-to-back trials. One weekend, then the next weekend. Well, Lou Wormuth was tuned right into that, and Lou got Wallace side, and some money changed hands, and now Lou owns Spot Cash. Okay? So they had a trial at Upper Hudson, and they had their trial in July. And back then, you had to have a third judge if you had over 30 hounds. Now, the judges were Bushy and Jimmy Stone. All right? So they asked me to be the third judge. So I had no idea Spot Cash would be in there. So I said, sure. So I'm out there, and next thing I know, Spot Cash, the Warmers got Spot Cash. So I went to both judges, and I said to them, I says, no, I don't want a conflict of interest. I bred that dog. I sold that dog. And it's been sold since. And I says, if you want me to step aside, I'm more than willing to step aside because I want you to be right up front and know. They didn't have a problem. I says, well, I'll tell you what, how I'll do my scoring, I will score my scores all separate. I won't discuss any of it with either one of you guys. And you score yours separate, and then we'll see how it ends up. And they thought that was fine. So we had no problem with that. Well, we ran that class, and I know it was over 40 hounds. And Doyle had a hound that had Toastmaster blood, and I'm not sure what the pedigree is, but I know it was Toastmaster something. And we got somewhere. And there was a red and white dog he called Current. Now, they got running, and both those hounds were front-running hounds. They were the 2 front hounds all the time. Okay? But when they got running, it didn't take too long. And it was pretty obvious that when they got going and the chair turned a little bit or something, that Spot Cash had the nose way over Carrot. Because she could know which way to go, and Carrot would be off to the side. And then she's over here again. She'd come right back, and which I wouldn't say she's faulty. You could see the difference in the nose and the dog by the way they ran. Okay? Now, so when we got all done with it, and we went to figure them out, there was no doubt. Nobody had any issue at all. It was Spot Cash, and then it was Carrot. And that was Spot Cash. Now, Cool Cash, all right, Lou Wormuth was after me to get a pup out of that. So I bred it again. I didn't have very good luck with pups. I ended up with one bitch, and I sold it to Lou Wormuth. And so he put the name Cold Cash on it. That cash name came from him. He got a blue slip as a puppy. Okay. And because of the cash name, people have said a lot of times, well, that's Dick Doyle's breeding because of Cash Cannon, but that was not the case. Okay. So Cold Cash, all right, went to Lou Ormond. And at that time, Lou had gotten that Tamarack Tiger dog, and I think the bitch he had was Trixie, which was out of Weasel and Cash Cannon. And I don't know what other dogs he had, but he had quite a few dogs, good dogs. He wanted me to breed that Tamarack Tiger dog. He wanted me to breed Scooby to him, but I didn't. And he had some good dogs, and he got in some kind of a deal with AKC, and he got upset, and he said, screw those people or whatever, and he got rid of all his dogs, okay, which is only a temporary thing. He did get rid of his dogs at that time. And that's how Cold Cash ended up in Canada, all right? And he got her to Tremaine DeSalle. And she was a top producing bitch, at least I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, for at least 6 years in Canada. Okay. Now, hounds like Maribel Ringo, Maribel Rambo, Maribel Rose, Maribel Zevion, those are champions that came out of, pretty much all champions that came out of her, and I can read off the top of my head. Then it was Blizzard Road Buster, and he was an international field champion. And he was a 13-inch male. And he went to a guy by the name of, Louis Salway. And Louis was the president of Adirondack for a while. And he had that bitch. And he sold him to a guy by the name of Dennis Landrum, I think is how you said his last name, from Canada. And he took him up to Canada, and he won a lot up there. I don't know his record. I know that he got I'm pretty sure he got Trainer Award. And I don't know where he ended up at, but I know he bred some real good dogs. And he's in Slugger's pedigree. I had breed a girl Corvette, and I had her for a whole lifetime. That was a sister to him. I run her when she's 5 years old, and I got 2 wins on her. And she's a dog I run in trials as much as any dog. I never run dog in trials. I never got too excited about it. And she got 2 wins, and she won High Hound for New York State and Vermont that year. And so I guess that covers that a little bit. Now, there was also Corby Corbett. I lost him in rabbit hunting, the only hound I ever lost. And he was a phenomenal dog. He was probably one of the best dogs I ever owned. I see him run little cottontails like you wouldn't believe. He was just a beautiful 13-inch male. And he was a really nice hound. I lost him up in Newton. And so, okay, I've gone on about that, I guess, enough. Now, I'm going to change it a little bit here, and we're going to go to Tyson's, one of Tyson's favorites.
Oh.
We're going to go to Sakatumi and see if we can break that down a little bit.
Help us out.
Okay. Now, Sakatumi, all right, and how this came about, all right. Now, we're going to look at the bit side, Snow Country Lad. Now, that was out of Panzer Peak. Now, I believe I'm right when I tell you that Northwood's Emily Lady was a bitch that Lou Wormuth got from Michigan. And I'm pretty sure Lou bred to Panzer Peak. Now, Panzer Peak was owned by Walt Butler, same guy that got Spot Cash. Okay. And let's see here. I gotta get on the right view here. Okay. So, anyhow, You go back. Let's go to Happy Acres Butcher Boy. Now, what the hell is that? Damn it, I had that thing around here somewhere. Okay, well, anyhow, I'm going to tell you, I know what it is anyhow, so I ain't got to look at it. It's Panzer Pete's mother and Happy, it's not Happy, it's Happy Acres Butcher Boy. Okay, and his Panzer Pete's mother and Panzer Pete's and Operator Butcher Boy were pretty much sisters. Panzer Pete goes back to Mount Zion Pete. Now, Ebony Lady, I don't know for sure. It's got Northwoods on there, so I know it's Clifford Warren from Michigan. So what was most of Michigan Clifford Warren's dogs? Mount Zion Pete dogs. So I have to say it went back there. Okay. Now, I think it was Butcher Boy. It may have been Jimmy, but I think it was Butcher Boy. Now, the guy that owned that dog was Billy Hopkins, and he was uncle to Joe Ferguson. All right. Now, this gay Donna Joe. Okay. I'm going to break down on that. Okay. Her mother had her and toasted, which was ginger and toast. Okay. Now her father was Millie Hill Trigger. Now Millie Hill Trigger was out of Farm A's Butch in Mount Zion Pete. Okay, now Happy Acres Butcher Boy, Donna Joe the bitch, Gage on a doe, she was bred very much like Spot Cash. All right, her mother was Ginger and Toastmaster. Her father, on the father's side, was Millie Hill Trigger. Millie Hill Trigger is a Mount Zion Pete grandson. But the other side is Adirondack Valley. So 3/4 or better percent of that gay Adria Donna Joe, the mother to Jimmy, is almost the same by Cash in the relationship to Ginger and Toastmaster percentage-wise. Okay. Now, I did have that thing on Butcher Boy goes back. I don't have it here. I'm not playing it. So I'm going to skip that. But so to make it a long story short, I guess, is if you get a snow country glass, we're going to put that together. All right. And Happy Acres, I'll keep wanting to call him Happy. It's Happy Acres Butcher and Happy Acres Jimmy. I think that was Billy Hopkins, which is Joel's uncle. Dick Doyle's breed, the dogs he got from me. And so that's what made up your Sakatumi dog. Okay. Now, let's see here. You all want to go to guess I need to be better organized. Maybe this is where it is right here. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I want to go about Millstone Partridge. Or no, not Millstone Partridge, Spur. Okay, now, Spur's father, Brown's just father, I'm the one just on the Sawyer side, was known as Midnight, which is Mom's IP. Okay, now and then the other side is Adirondack Valley. Okay, so it's almost all B, back and forth. All right, very high percentage. And the point of the whole thing is, you learn from breeding by learning from what worked in the past. And almost all these dogs that went on for so many generations was a combination of very close breeding and within that family. Now, Spur's pedigree and a bitch side was Hawkridge, Nubian Queen. Now, I'm impressed with this pedigree. And her sire was field champion Lowland Robbie Bob, whose sire was field champion Larmay Kittle, full brother to Larmay Huntmaster. Okay, now, I'm going to back up on that, and I'm going to interject a little bit here. Lowland Robbie Bob was full brother to Hawkridge Fire Chief. And Hawkridge Fire Chief was Asa Elwood's best hound. When he talked about his hounds, he talked about Hawkridge Fire Chief as being way better than most anything he had. Okay. His sire was Larmay Kittle. Okay, Kittle is a full brother to Huntmaster. There was Larmay Kittle and Larmay Gusto and Larmay Huntmaster, and there was a bitch out of that I know finished. You saw her in pedigrees. I never knew anything only in pedigree, and it was Little Daisy, Paul's Little Daisy, I believe she was called. Okay, now Hawkridge Fire Chief. Now you go to Kittle or Huntmaster, and they're my mother's High Creek Babylon Pebbles, and she's crisscrossed with Jacqueline LeBan, bred to Toastmaster. Okay, now Huntmaster and her mother was Rich Sale, who was by international field champion Middle Zone Fire Chief. I'm hoping I'm not getting people confused by saying this stuff. Maybe I'll go back to it. I'm okay.
No, sir, you're fine.
Huh?
I said, no, sir, you're fine.
Okay, I don't want to confuse people. Okay. Now, Ridgewood Sale, who was sired by international field champion Middlestone Fire Chief. Now, Fire Chief's mother was Lisa's Penny, which is a Mount Zion Pete bitch. And if you look in the Canadian Hall of Fame, she was listed in the Canadian Hall of Fame. I think it was Canadian Hall of Fame. I know she's in the Hall of Fame. I hunted the chief, who was owned by Glenn Ball. Glenn Ball lived pretty close to where Paul lives, over near Middle Grove. And that hound came from the Middle Grove Kennels in Ontario. And it goes back to Golden Tone Paul and Gooding's International Fire Chief. Okay, now those are just named on the pedigree. I don't know that. What I know of Chief, and this hound was the greatest snow hound, in my opinion. He was one of the very best. His mother was international field champion Lisa Penny, who was in the Canadian Hall of Fame, and her sire is international field champion Mount Zion Pete. Ridgewood Sale's mother was Ridgewood Mount Zion Queen, sired by international Zion Pete. I want to go over field champion Spur pedigree, but no. Why I like Spur, I told you that Sweet Ann was Buster's great-grandmother. I bred her international field champion Ramon from Mr. G. I judged T a number of times, and I liked what I saw. T was in championship trials at Upper Hudson. It was hot, and the ground was dry. It was one of those days when the hound had to show he had a big nose, and he showed me that he had that big nose, and he also had the desire when it gets hot and dry, and probably more so with the large males, they get to be lethargic or not very active, but I never see him act that way. And I bred her, I had 7 pups, 1 went to Tom Sharp, and I raised the other 6. I kept 4, that was a nice litter. Lady Luck Corbett was Buster's grandmother, and I bred her to Edinburgh Tippy. Now, Edinburgh Tippy was a gun dog that was hunted a lot. And he would run on days when the other dogs got put in the box because they only could run in the snow under those conditions. I bred Lady Luck Corbett to Edinburgh Tippy. Tippy's father was field champion Northwood Spur. His mother was Snow Country Tasha. Tasha was full sister to Art Taylor's international field champion Sakatumi. Both Sakatumi and Tasha were good snow hounds. Edinburgh Tippy was brother to field champion Northway Ninja and Snow Country Sheila. I mentioned Sheila because she was the mother to Birch River Big Ben. Ben was a real good snow hound. Buster's mother was Dixie Girl Corbett, and her father was Edinburgh Tippy. Her mother was Lucky Lady Corbett. That is a double cross and spur with T on one side and Tasha on the other side. I also bred Lady Luck Corbett to Birch River Big Ben, and I kept 2 nice females out of that. Okay. Now, that's on the bed side. Now, Slugger, all right, I got a hold of Slugger.
Now, when you say Slugger, I just wanted the people to know you're referring to Dead Branch Slugger.
Dead Branch Slugger, all right. Now, Bill Michalowski, who lives over in Chesterfield, Massachusetts, he used to judge field trials, and he's had hounds for umpteen years, and he bred Dead Branch Poppy with one of his dogs. He called his hounds Dead Branch, okay? And why, I don't know where he could come up with that name. I never asked him that. Sometimes if I think about it, I'll ask him what I had. And Poppy was the father to Crampy and Tanya and a bunch of them that finished. But Tanda was out of Dead Branch Poppy and Woodstock Penny. All right. So Woodstock Penny, this is Lou Wormuth again. It's not Lou, you can't get rid of him. Okay, now Big Spur goes back to J-Wall, and now that's Lou Wormuth again. All right. And Lou Wormuth is the one that went over and bred to Poppy to where he got Kendall, which was the cross on the bit side of Slugger. Okay? And then that's on the Sawyer side. And then this Kendall was bred to Sweet Chrissy, which is out of Dead Branch Cemetery. Okay? Now I asked Lou, I said, why the hell would anybody name his dog Dead Branch Cemetery? He says, if you ever had grandkids, he says, my grandkids want to name it Dead Branch Cemetery. So that's how that dog got its name. Okay? Now, to go back on the Sawyer side of Slugger, Dead Branch Mazda, which was Larry Mazda's dog, and Biffy Fenn, which was bred, Jerry Finney had that dog, I think, and I think Sonny Underwood had that dog, and I think Tony Batista had that dog, and Larry Mazda bought that dog from Tony Batista. And now I asked Sonny Underwood, why did you ever sell that dog? Because he was supposed to be the greatest thing that ever came on snow. Everybody says the same thing. He says, well, I'll tell you, I turn him loose, and you run all day, and you know what? He says, he wanted to go to the neighbor's house all the time. And I thought that was kind of strange, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, maybe the neighbors got him better or something, I don't know. But that was the story I got on why he sold. Now, then he sold him to Tony Batista, and Batista, he don't hold on to dogs very much anyhow. They seem to just go one through one to another. And Larry Mazda somehow saw that dog somewhere, and he wanted that dog in the worst way. Well, Larry told me the story on that. He says, I didn't have much money. I had to borrow my brother's truck. I didn't have a truck or car to get over there to get it. And I think he had to borrow the money or something. But anyhow, Larry Mazda ended up with that 50-10 dog. And then he bred it, this hound, St. Orange Satin Dog Joe. Well, I know that dog, and that's out of Corby Corbett. I remember that now. And that was Mark St. Ives dog over on the Satin Dog Reservoir. That was a nice hound. And that went back to Avenue and Perch River Melody. Now, if you know dogs, you know Perch River. That's Francis Clark's dog, and I'm not sure where Francis lives. He lives over on Mohawk, Sandy Creek, over that way somewhere. So that pretty much sums the dog situation up that I wanted to talk about, I guess. Now, let's see. There's some other things here I think I should say before I finish this off. And let's see. I guess I've held things up long enough. I don't know if anybody have any questions or anything you want me to go over or talk about.
Well, I do, Art. You said something while you're getting together there. You said something very, very powerful going in. And I do want to touch on one. A buddy of mine from Kentucky, he says, what made you, and I think you pretty much already answered all of it, what made you go and breed the way that you did. I wanted to go back into how, you had influence on, and because some people, maybe they did catch what you said, some maybe, may not have, that people, I want you guys to understand, the Ginger Girl, and now you correct me if I'm wrong, Art, the Ginger Girl Corbett crossed back into Toastmaster. That created the Adirondack Dolly female that was purchased by Mr. Doyle. Okay, that female went on to produce the dogs that gives us that Chico's Northern Venture or Northway Venture, that dog, which gave us, was it Driver, then Spur, or Spur, then Drive? I'm crossed up now because I'm so excited.
Okay, I'll go through that with you now.
Okay, because I want a lot of people to understand.
Doyle got two bitches, and one he called Adirondack Dolly. Now, that was before he started calling dogs Doylan, and he called the other one Adirondack Toasty May. She was the one that was a field champion. Now, Dolly, he bred Dolly to 4 different studs. He bred her to Pearlman's Just, and that's where Chico's Northway Venture came from, out of that litter. He bred her to Millie Hill Trigger, and that's where Doyle and Sport came from. Then he bred her to Dagger's Bing, and there was 2 champions out of that. There was Palmetier Jack, and I'm not quite coming up with the name of the bitch that Doyle kept that bitch, and that was a champion. And I had the sisters of that for a little while because another guy was buying it. He brought her over for me to run it and see what I thought about it. And that was a super bitch. They called her Susie. She was a big bitch, and she had a big mouth, and boy, could she run. She was a nice hound. And Walt Robeson had her. He used to be president of the Scottsdale Pittsdown Beagle Club. All right. And then, for whatever reason, he took it back, and Jimmy Palmatier got it from him or something. I don't know, but Jimmy Palmatier ended up with it. Now, Jimmy Palmatier was from Gloversville, and Jimmy Palmatier had a lot of good dogs. Jimmy Palmatier had a brain tumor when he was like, I don't know, 50 years old or something like that. And that screwed him up royal, because after that he couldn't hear good, and he had some problems. But he had some real nice hounds, and he had Palmatier's Jack. And Palmatier Jack, you'll see it in quite a few pedigrees. You'll see Palmatier Jack is a father to Woodstock 2. Okay. And then there was another one. Let me see. I got 2, 3, 4. What was the other one? Emilio Trigger. There's another one. Okay. Which one am I forgetting? Oh, he bred the cat. Dolly back to a father. And that's where Cash Canada came from. So that bitch produced 5 hair champions, and when that thing with Watotic Mark or Watotic Joe won 5 hair champions at that time, that was in the early 50s. Adirondack Dolly did the same thing. She produced 5 hair champions. So, okay, now, when Doyle bred Dolly to Thrones Just, he got Chico. That was the start of Paul Gamoyne's hounds. Now, Chico was the father to Spur. And then Spur was the father to Driver, Northway Ninja, Jumper, Fenimore Bobby. Ralph DeWitt had a dog. He finished out of that real quick, a bitch. I don't know the name of it. But Spur didn't live to be an old dog. I don't know. He died young. I don't know why, but he did. I don't know how old. I don't think he was very old, but he would produce them very well. Now, he had a brother. Now, I ran and judged the brother, and I don't know the richer name of it, but he called him Randy. And that dog, he was a special dog. I mean, he was a power dog. He had all kinds of nose. And I mean, I gave him a win at Edinburgh one time. He run with Sakatumi.
That's the one that wore him out, right?
Pardon?
That's the one that wore Sakatumi out, right?
Yeah, oh, he is Sakatumi. Well, not by more. Sakatumi, I'm never taking him away from that dog. He's a good dog. Another dog that would put it to him is a Dagger Duke. And Dagger Duke was owned by Paul Dagger. And that dog went back to some of French connection in there. And Dingus was in that Dagger Duke dog. And Dagger Duke never, I mean, they made a champion out of him. They never advertised. Nobody ever heard about that dog. But if you watch him run, he was a pretty impressive dog.
Now, Art, let me ask you this. I hate to interrupt you. Let me ask you this. A question just popped up. A buddy of mine out of Ohio, he runs a lot of those old hounds that you were talking about. He asked the question. He said, "I wonder if Art ever watched Spur, Driver, Jump Master, Ninja, etc. Could you go into those dogs that you did see run and what you saw of them?"
I gave Driver a win. All right, and Jumper was in that same trial, and I placed him. I don't know, I'm sure I placed him. He ran against a guy by the name of Ron Kelly from Michigan. Had a dog in there, and I'm not sure the breeding on that. But that dog and Driver and Jumper, I'm pretty sure it was Jumper, and they run good together, and they were front running dogs. Driver was a fast dog, and Driver, let's see, Driver went back to see if I can tell you. Driver was I had it somewhere. The Driver goes back to Juniper Swamp Abe. Pretty sure Juniper Swamp Abe's right there in that pedigree. And Abe goes right back to Huntmaster. Juniper Swamp Abe was right there fuller. And that's part of that pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that here. And I don't want to get that. Let me just see if I got some more pedigree somewhere else.
Dig deep.
Here's one of Paul's breedings. All right. Now this is it. I put away to breed dogs, and this one's a nice pedigree. I don't know how I come about it because I never had the dog out of that. But it's Northway Driver. Okay. Now, Northway Driver was out of Spur, and he was out of Northway Cape. Now, guys, you might find this interesting. Guess who Kate's father was?
Who's that?
Panzer Pete.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, Lady Gertrude, that's the one I was trying to tell you, and I couldn't remember her name, was brother or sister of the Butcher, Happy Acres Butcher Boy.
Sakatumi's grandfather.
Eh?
Sakatumi's grandfather.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Panzer Pete was out of Laramie Panzer, and now guess who the father was? Mount Zion Pete. How about that?
Wow. What kind of cross is that? I can only imagine. Wow. Now look, someone else asked, have you ever saw the Kingwood T-Rex dog run?
I'm not here understanding what you're saying.
Someone else posed the question. They said, have you ever saw the Kingwood's T-Rex dog run?
Well, with my phone or my hearing, I can't understand you. I'm sorry.
Hold on one second. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's a blur. It's not clear. Your voice, I can hear the voice, but I can't. It's not coming in like a voice should come in.
Okay. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, they were asking about Kingwood T-Rex.
I'd like to answer your question, but I can't understand it.
Yeah, they're asking about Kingwood T-Rex.
T?
They're asking about Kingwood's T-Rex.
Oh boy. Oh. I can't tell you an answer because I can't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to ask him. Hey, Art, can you hear me now? Okay, they're asking about Kingwood's T-Rex. Okay, or any information on any of the Dingus McCrae dogs, pretty much.
Any of the Dingus McCrae dogs. One dog I was very impressed with, and that's Close Call Girl. Okay? Now, I judged open area over in Rhinebeck, and it was, I think they had the trial the first weekend in May. Okay. Now, sometimes over there, you go over there and there was snow on the ground and it would be cold or whatever. And sometimes the first weekend in May could be really hot and dry. Well, that year, I think it was hot and dry. And I can remember found a pack of dogs, and they got up in some blackberry bushes, and they went up over a hill, and it was a pack of dogs, but there was only one dog that kept working right on up through there. And I watched her, and I decided, that dog's got to rid of it, okay? And so, when I got back, and I gave that dog a win, I got back to Clubhouse, I says, okay, who owns that dog? Well, they said some name, and he says the guy's from Manitoba, Canada. Well, that name didn't mean nothing to me because nobody ever heard of Branko with it. And that was Close Call Girl. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Now, Dingus, all right, his father was Huntmaster. Okay? Now, Huntmaster was owned by Bill Fuller. And he bought that dog from Homer LeMay. And I'd have to say real early 70s. Okay, maybe late 69, maybe in there, in that time frame there somewhere, not very far off. And I hunted with him, and I judged him in the trial, and I couldn't fault the dog. He had all the tools he needed to do what he had to do, and he did it. Okay, he run good in the snow. And we shot a rabbit over on the St. Johnsburg Road there, snowshoes. And first time I come up through there, he running that rabbit up through there. And he went through all kinds of junipers and crap and stuff. And pretty soon he come right out on that line where we shot that rabbit. And every time I see him, he was a nice hound. I bred ginger to him. I had some nice hounds out of that. As far as the bit side of that, you're going back to Louis Wormuth now. You can't stay away from Lou, can you? No matter how hard you try, you can't get away from Lou. Well, Lou's bitch, or Cunningham stuff, is the same thing. That bitch is a full sister to J-Wall. Let's not get the names mixed up and say one thing and think it's something else. J-Wall, which is Lou's international field champion, is the same bloodline. And that was a hounds that Lou was two bloodlines. That bloodline and the Toastmaster Mount Zion P bloodline. And that, if you look at Lou Wormuth stuff, it almost always goes back and forth, back and forth. It's the same. And he's the same like I am. You get a good bloodline, you stay with a good bloodline. Don't get stupid and jump all over because all you're doing is being stupid.
Now stay right there and say that again.
What's that?
What you just said about keeping within a family and not going all over the place.
I say, if you got a good bloodline, you stay with a bloodline. You don't get stupid. Because
Okay.
if you do, you're just getting stupid. Showing everybody you're stupid.
Now look, let me ask you this. Okay, since we got you on that subject, and I was hoping you was going to go there. I know you and I, we oftentimes talk hours and hours on end about this exact same thing. So I know what you're going to say, but can you sort of explain that when you say stay with a family? Okay, let's say a person wants to go out of that family. They want to go away from that family. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
Well, don't get me wrong. Don't let you're going to stay completely with the family.
Right, but breathe within the family. That's what I wanted you to talk about.
Now, I'll give you the perfect example of that. When I bred Lucy, or when I went out with T, with Annie and bred the T, that was out of the family. I brought that back in. Okay, but then when I went back with Tippy, and that was spurred. There was a double cross on that, so that's like half brother, half sister. And then you got Tasha, and if you go back through Tasha's pedigree, which we have, goes back to a lot of the same blood, all right, that's in the spur part of it. But T is a little different. Now, when I bred Spot Cash, I went into Kentucky Colonel. I went out of the family. Well, what did I do? I come right back in. But when you go out of the family, you try to find the family, all right, and that's what Lou Wormuth did. He mixed those two families together. And he went back with the Cunningham side, and the Cunningham goes back into Wally, full line, and Manchon Wally, and Manchon hounds with Donald Point's dog from Ticonderoga. And I've seen Donald's dog, and that was a man I should have put in the North Creek. Donald Point was there, and Donald Point had some nice hounds. And if you see the thing in the pedigree that says Manchon, Donald Point from Ticonderoga, New York.
Wow.
So, but that's my theory, for whatever it's worth.
Absolutely. Well, and it's a great theory because it seems like it worked. I mean, you laid the foundation for the Doylan line. You laid that, and then him.
Let's go back on that. Now, this Doyle had that bloodline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he had the champions on that, but he never followed through. All right, he went to something else. Paul Good Morning carried that bloodline for a long time. Now, if you look at Dick Doyle's dog when he had the Toastmaster Fine, he went to all this other stuff. Now, today, I don't think he has anything whatsoever to do with that. He's got one hound that he's bred a lot is Justice. What the hell's the mother to that? The Brinkle dogs, okay? So I don't see, as Mr. Doyle is, ever carrying a line very far at all. And if you can show me a pedigree where it goes back and forth to the same family, then I would agree that he did, but I've never seen one. Now, I've seen him with a lot of champions, but they're all different.
Wow. Wow. Now let me ask you this. I'm glad you said that because I don't think people understand how paramount it is to do exactly what you just said. And it looks like you got your best success when you did just that. And let me ask you this. Someone also, they posed a question. They said, ask him, has he ever seen the New York Nick dog run or the Grampy stuff?
The what now?
The New York Nick dog.
Well, I wish I could hear you better.
Hold on one second. Yeah, can you hear me, Art? Yeah, they asked, have you seen the New York Nick dog run or the Grampy dog? No, Grampy or hold on, Grampy and New York Nick.
I really watched Grampy run. All right, but Grampy had two brothers to finish. All right, not that that makes him any better. Grampy was bred real good. I know his father, Pappy, was a really good hound, and I know his mother, all right, would stack Penny too, and she was bred to spur. And Bill Emerson had a hound we call Rockstar out of that, and I imagine that was a really good dog. Now, did I see Grampy run? No. Well, I'll say this: Lou Wormuth had Grampy, all right. Doug Coons had Grampy. Now, Doug Coons was a hunter more than Fowler. All right? He got rid of him. All right? It went to, I don't know the guy's, I know his last name was Gates. It went to him. And it's Joe Gates' father, and Joe Gates is the one that's married to Brenda. And this is a story I heard. John went up and got that from him. Okay, so I know Doug Coons for a long time, and he's on that good dog. When he got a really good dog, he'll tell you about it. He didn't talk much about Grampy. So, but that's now when we look at dogs, we look at two things. Okay, but we don't forget either part of it. When you look at the performance of a dog, and you look at the producing power of the dog. All right. Now that producing part of Grampy worked out real well. I saw some dogs out of that. I think were pretty good dogs, and I think he threw some pretty good dogs. And that bloodline is a good bloodline. I think right now, I think well, I don't think Grampy would be anywhere near as good as his father, Pappy. Because Pappy, however to say it, I know people talked about him being really good. And that was Bill Michalowski's dog, and he'll tell you he's a good dog. And the one thing about Bill, he'll tell you right now, he don't mix no words. And he'll tell you, that these guys are a bunch of this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I like nice man.
Yes, sir. Now, what about New York Nick?
Huh?
Now, what about New York Nick?
Okay, let's try it again.
Hold on, guys. Now, what about New York Nick? Hey, can you hear me, Art? Okay. What about New York Nick? Okay. Now I'm going to see if these guys, if you guys have any questions or whatever, go ahead and fire away. I guess I'll drop this one just to keep it going until they actually come up with some questions. Art, how important is the female side of the breeding program?
You ain't got a breeding program if you haven't got a good bitch. I mean, now, granted, right, some males can really throw good, and a pedigree can go one side or the other. You can see that in the color and the conformation. Sometimes one goes one side or the other. But I think a bitch is very, very important. And okay, how many hounds bred to Toastmaster? And look at how many. Now look at the Cash Cannon. How many Cash Cannon produce? I don't think you produce shit. And you get right down to it. But when I bred Scooby to him, everything was that. So I think that had a big part, more part than he did. Now, I don't know of any. The only other hound I know that I can come up with that was out of him was, okay, command brain work. There was a male. It was a good one. Crackerjack, M&M Crackerjack. And he was a real good hound. But Cash Gannon doesn't produce much, and I know Joe, I bred the crap out of him. So I don't think he produced much, but when you put the right bitch on him, he produced. I often wondered if I bred it, took that bitch and bred her to Chico, or bred her to Palmer's Jack, or some of the other offspring out of Dolly, but I didn't. But, you know, what happens is, unless you're in this in the commercial business, you, as an individual, you get 7 or 8 hounds in your cook. You say, well, you know, I'd like to breed that, but Jesus, what am I going to do with the pups? What am I going to do with these old dogs? I can't run all of them. So you don't breed until you get to a point where you think, okay, I got room, I'll go for another one. And I mean, if you were wanting to really make a science out of this, you had to do it on a much larger basis, and do it on, okay, now let's try this bitch with different males and see how it works out. Is it the male, or is it a combination of both, or is it the bitch?
Absolutely.
So.
Wow. Now let me ask you this, just in case, I don't know if someone else chimes in and says something different. One of the things that I know you really didn't want to touch on, and we won't go into it deep, but I know you and I talked or whatnot. The one thing that we talked about that does exist, you know, I'll let you go at your discretion on that particular subject. I'll let you deal with that as you see fit. I don't, you know, I'm not going to tell you what to say, you know, sort of.
Buddy judging, is that what we're going with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think everybody should be aware of it. Okay. Now, as I described it, and I wrote it up, and I put paper down. I don't know where I put the paper, but anyhow, here's the way I see it. Okay, in a nice way to put it. Okay, buddy judging can ruin the sport. There's no denying it, and it has a big effect on it, and it is just bad all the way around. Okay, it's bad because you're seeing dogs that are champions that are garbage. All right, it's bad because people are going in the sport and seeing it, and they say, well, I'm not nothing to do with that. This is stupid. This guy drives up in his car, and he's got his friend with him, and he judges his dog. Or the two of them ride together, 2 judges, all right? One judges one class, one judges the other class, okay? I mean, you can see this. I mean, he's right up there. It's in the nose. You got to see it, okay? And he places his, and he places the other one, you know? And so buddy judging is something that needs to be talked about. I don't know that you can ever control it. I really don't think so. But now what I put in the paper that I wrote up was, it's kind of like a footer, all right? If it's down, you don't think it's there, it's not a problem. But you have to pay attention, because that wind can come, and you can have a bowl of air and fan the fire, and all of a sudden you've got all these people in control, and you don't have a sport worth a shit. Now, I've seen it with my eyes, okay? Now, one guy that said in one of your things, he says, well, then you don't hire those judges. Well, it's not that simple. What about the guy that hires the judges if he's working together? And that happens. So it's not an easy solution. AKC doesn't want to get involved. I talked with AKC, or representative, Bill Van Bogart, one time at a seminar, and I brought it right up. And I asked him, I'm like, what do we do about this buddy judging? He says, it's not up to AKC to patrol your sport. It's your sport, so you're the one that's responsible. It's pretty clear to me that AKC won't touch it. Okay. And so I guess the only thing you can say about it is you want people to be aware of it, and if people work together in an orderly manner, maybe they can control it. I don't know what more I could say on that. I don't know how to you know. But
Wow. Well, I,
you don't have to go too many if you're paying attention, and you'll see it. You will see it.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I'm just glad that you were able to come on and say what you said because, you have a lot more clout. You hold a lot more weight than myself. And I think, we need to hear from people such as yourself that's actually got a chance to be around a whole lot longer and a whole lot more. You've been out there a whole lot more than us. Now, when you add the years up, Art, of in its entirety of what you've invested your life, your blood, sweat, and tears into beagling, how long or what number of years would that be total?
There's an awful lot of squealing out of your audio thing or whatever it is. Can you read?
Okay, I was saying in the years as far as in totality, in it, the full total of how long you've been beagling. What? Yes, sir.
You mean just running dogs?
In general, all together.
Let's say if you want to start when I had my first beagle, in a sense, I guess you could start in 1953. All right. So that in 2003, that's 50 years. So you take 3 from 18, and you've got 15. So that's another 15. So you got 65 years, something along those lines.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, that is awesome. That is truly awesome.
Enjoyed my dogs. All right.
Yes, sir.
That was always part of part of me. All right. And field trialing is a wonderful sport, and it is a wonderful sport, and it can be a wonderful sport, but it's only as good as the people that run it. If you've got good people, you've got a good sport. If you don't have good people, you have a bunch of nonsense.
Wow. Man, that's something said. That's something said right there. One person asked. They said, "What is the greatest dog he's ever seen?"
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Art? Yeah. One guy asked a question. He said, "What is the greatest beagle you've ever seen?"
That's an easy question to ask. It's a hard question to answer. If you see a dog and 20 years later you see another dog, and unless you run them together and you can see them, and I don't know there is really a greater dog. When you have a really good dog, you have a really good dog. And I mean, yeah, there's dogs that can certainly improve that they have a better edge. Now, like on Hannah, that bitch that Bert had, she was very impressive because she would run in the trial with 25 or 30 or 40 dogs. Nothing could bark, and she would run. But then if you saw that same dog in another situation, maybe on a hot, dry day or something, now I'm not saying this because I don't know, but you'd have to look at the dogs in every type of condition to determine and rate them for condition and to compare them. And to say what's the greatest, I can say that some of the dogs I saw were very, very impressive. Now, I've seen a hound called Southfield Charger way back. That was a hound that Ray Christian had. He was from down around down near Kingston, anyhow, in a snow trial. And that sucker just blistered that rabbit and run right away in the snow right up to its neck. And I've seen a few other dogs do that over the time. Now, how can you say which one's the best? The only way you could tell it which one's the best, if you took a dog I saw 25 years ago and could run her today, and then go through a whole series and then draw your conclusions. That's the only way.
Well, well, I guess in a more precise question, what's your favorite hound that you saw?
What's my favorite what?
What's your favorite hound that you've seen?
Well, I don't know that I've had some awful nice hounds over the years. I love that Ginger was a phenomenal nice dog. Spooky was a nice dog. That Skeeter dog was a nice dog. I had North Country Rebel. I call him North Country Rebel. He was a Mount Zion Pete, just crossed back and forth. He was out of Juniper Swamp Dave. That was Go Puller's hound. That was a nice male. The only thing with him is, and I didn't take it away from him. If you were in a field trial, you might take it away from him. And his grandmother was High Creek Pab on Pebbles, And I always went back in my mind because when he was on a check, all right, he was anxious to get it going, and he would go, on a check, he wasn't barking, he had it, he just says, I'm looking. And I always kind of thought that went back to the babbling part of High Creek Babbling Pebbles. Now, maybe it had nothing to do with that. Maybe that was just the name. But I always laughed over that dog. Well, you could roll the crap out of a rabbit. I really, like I used to hunt with Ginger and Jewel in that Middlestone Partridge. Well, we had some phenomenal runs with that. And we used to go up in Stone Lake and Shaw Hill Road up in Brant Lake and over to Adirondack and the down over there, not the Eagle Club. But they were all good times. But
Wow.
Now that Corby dog I had, he was a beautiful little dog. Boy, that really got me when I lost him. I never lost a dog in the woods before. He got on deer. Must be got on deer. They got away, and I couldn't figure out where the hell he went.
Wow. Well, I tell you what. I think we've kept you long enough. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of questions have came through. One guy did ask the question about what is the difference between the trials and dogs of yesteryear, years and times past.
Okay, there's a good question. I like that question. What's better? And I've asked that a number of times. What's better, the dogs today or dogs yesterday? I say the dogs yesterday. And why do I say that? Because so many dogs are being promoted. Now, here's an example. Okay, I watch a dog at a trial, and a judge two judges watch a hare run right across the path in front of them. Hound comes out, hits the path, goes 6, 7, 500 feet, whatever, right down the path, barking with no rabbit. They brought it back, gave it a win. I asked the guy, I says, how could you do that? I said, because, he's got some problems, but you didn't see the good work he did. Well, I don't think like that. That is a major fault. That is a major fault of hound laying a line. There's 3 things that never should be accepted. A quitter, a dog that lays a line, and a dog that backtracks. Now, if a dog, when I say dog backtracks, you have to understand that if a dog hits it and goes a little bit and then checks, that's not feeling backtrack. But when they go make a couple circles, that's backtracking. That dog is really a faulty dog. That dog really doesn't have it straight. And for a judge to do that, okay, that was acceptable. Okay, now you could say, well, that could have happened years ago. That's true, it could. But I don't think years ago, I can't remember ever seeing as many dogs that run around and bark. You see the pack coming, and there ain't no damn rabbit there. And then a little while later, I've gone to trials where you watch them run. In the morning, they come through, no rabbit. Half an hour later, same thing, no rabbit. Now, this goes on, okay? Now, you have to ask yourself this. Why aren't some dogs being picked up? You're seeing the same dogs in the front with no rabbit, but they're not being picked up. Okay, then you say, now, I don't think this is because they're buddy judging. I think this is because they really don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay, and then you say, what the hell are they looking at? Evidently, they're not getting in front of the dog, because if they're getting in front, They would see there was no rabbit. So then they would start questioning. So what are they looking at? Okay. Now here's another issue, and I think it's almost just terrible. The amount of dogs in large pack, I don't know so much in small pack, that won't come back. All right. You have a point of loss or a check, and that dog, if it's worth a shit, should come back to that point of loss. If they're driving like crazy and they're going just as fast as they can, that dog should turn right around and come back to where he last scented that rabbit. He shouldn't go over to the next hill. And most of them won't come back. You can go in a pack and you will not see, if you see one or two, you're doing pretty good. You certainly won't see 10% of that pack back there looking for that rabbit. And that's because of judges not looking at the point of loss. Now, I've watched judges stand right there and the pack loses a rabbit and the pack isn't that far, make no effort whatsoever to go up and look at that point of loss. All right, they make no point. Now, the dogs are up there working, but they're not looking at it. And then they have, to make it worse, then you'll see some dogs come out that's no longer looking, and they'll hang around, and the judge thinks nothing of that either. And then pretty soon you see the judge and they lose patience, and they say, come on, we're going to go work the hounds. Well, what the hell do you mean you're going to work the hounds? The hounds are up there working. But they take those dogs that have quit working that point of loss, if they were ever on the point of loss, and they take them somewhere else, jump a rabbit, and what do they do? On the hot line. What the hell is that? Any dog can run a hot line. It should be able to if there any dog at all. It's when the dog loses it and the dog has to struggle to come up with it, and the dog that keeps your race going should be the winning dog. But so therefore, I think years ago there wasn't so much of that. And another thing too, I think. Okay, now I can remember your hair trials used to be like, I can remember going to hair trial 8 o'clock in the morning, and we finish up 5, 6 o'clock at night, and they run hard all day long. Okay, and on most of the dogs, the judges didn't cut them out; they just quit. They didn't have the determination, the stamina, or whatever. And now your small pack trials, they don't prove crap as far as toughness in the dog. They can prove nothing toughness in the dog. And now also out of your small pack judge, I've been down and watched two judges walk down the path with a whole pack, and they're not going in the woods. They're not hunting. They're not hunting. And I told the judge one day, I said, you know what happened about Judge Man? What would you do? I'd throw every one of them suckers out and tell me, I'm not judging them dogs till you get dogs that hunt. If they don't hunt, I don't judge them. They will not place a dog that won't hunt. But somehow that doesn't seem to be an issue. I can't understand it. I find it very hard.
Wow.
So anyhow.
Okay, I know, right? One last question. The guy asked, have you ever ran against, or do you recall the dog Southside Bay?
Southside Bay is he's a sister, her brother, excuse me. And the guy that was high on that was was always talking that Southside Bay was better than T.
Was it Joseph Valenza?
Yeah, Joe Valenza. Okay.
Yeah, he's on here. He's the guy to ask the question.
Okay. And did I ever watch him?
Yeah, did you ever run against him?
I never did. I seen his father, Chips, run, and I seen his grandmother, Sooner, run. But Southside Bay, I did never see run. No, I did not.
Okay. There you have it, folks. Well, thank all of you guys for chiming in tonight. This again, for you guys that don't know, and women that are on here too, that don't know, this is Mr. Arthur White of Grainsvort, New York, the Corvette Beagles. 80 years old. This man's been in dogs since 1953, or that's when he acquired his first Beagle. He's said just a wealth of knowledge on here tonight, a lot of wisdom. And I encourage you guys to play it back, go back and see what he said. Thank you all for enduring with us and showing that kind of extended patience while we were trying to get it situated. We tried twice with two different devices, and we've never had this happen before, but you know, things happen. I definitely do apologize for that. Please hear my earnest apology for that. I'm very apologetic in that matter because I believe in doing things very exceptional and very professional. There's a way to do things, and we thank you all. So thank you all. Thank you, Art, as usual. And I'll probably be giving you a call tomorrow. So thank you guys. Share this post if you can. Get it out there. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Art.
Yep.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, it looks like now it doesn't want to end.